Welcome to the Gus Alva Perspective, a videocast that is earmarked to embrace abundance and gratitude over the mindset of fear and scarcity. As a board certified psychiatrist, I oftentimes face different sets of problems in which people come in and they say that they're having difficulties with their work or relationships or otherwise, and it's probably because they're not putting themselves out there sufficiently. The topic that I'd like to touch on today is putting yourself out there. And this video cast will refer to being actively engaged with the world, being open and exposing oneself to new experiences, as well as opportunities and interactions. This concept of putting yourself out there can apply to various aspects of life, such as social situations, career pursuits, relationships, and personal growth. And what I'd like to do right now is walk you through some pros and cons of what putting yourself out there entails. First, the positive. Uh, I'm going to walk through 5 different areas where putting yourself out there makes a lot of sense. The first thing is that of personal growth. By stepping outside of our comfort zone and embracing new experiences, we oftentimes have the chance to learn and grow as individuals. This can lead to an increase in self confidence and a broader perspective on life. The second one is opportunities, because while we're open and approachable, we can attract opportunities that we might not have encountered otherwise. This applies not only to our careers, our education, but also our personal life. And anybody out there can tell you that networking and making connections can open doors to new possibilities. A third area is that of building relationships. When we put ourselves out there, we increase our chances of meeting like minded people. This helps form meaningful connections. This too can lead to strong friendships, mentorships, or even romantic relationships if we are in that stage of life. A fourth area that's really important is that of skill development. Because as we embrace new challenges, this can help us develop and refine various skills. These include communication, problem solving, and adaptability. And the last thing that I would suggest is a very positive thing of putting yourself out there is overcoming fears. As a psychiatrist, I oftentimes see that people are so fearful, and confronting one's fears and anxieties can be empowering. It can also be liberating. And each time that we face a fear, we become more resilient and less hindered by self doubt. Now, it's not an easy road to put yourself out there. Because what I'm going to share with you now also are some areas that might be counterpoints of putting yourself out there. The first thing that I can think of is that of rejection and criticism. Because when we put ourselves out there, that means that we might face rejection or criticism or negative feedback. And this can be discouraging and impact our own self esteem. Second thing is that when we put ourselves out there, there's a degree of vulnerability that we're opening up ourselves to. Opening ourselves up to others can leave us feeling vulnerable, especially when we're sharing personal thoughts or feelings. And this vulnerability might be exploited or taken advantage by others. So it's important that we keep that as a reference point as well, but not to be overly fearful of it. Time and energy investment are also critical, right? When we engage in new experiences and social interactions, these can be time consuming and emotionally draining. So it's essential to balance putting yourself out there with self care and setting healthy boundaries. There's also the potential for mistakes. When we try new things, this can lead to mistakes or failures. And while these can be valuable in helping us learn new experiences, they also could be demoralizing in the moment in which we experience them. And the last point is that of social pressures, because in some cases, societal or peer pressure may push us to put ourselves out there, even though we might not feel comfortable with doing so. So it's important to gauge our own readiness and our own boundaries, since these are inherently important to keep in mind. Ultimately, as we think of this concept of putting ourselves out there, it involves taking calculated risks, being authentic, and being receptive to both positive as well as negative outcomes, and finding the right balance that aligns with our values as well as our goals is key to making the most of this particular approach in various aspects of our lives. Remember that personal growth and meaningful connections oftentimes come hand in hand with stepping outside of one's comfort zone. But because of this, it's critical that we keep in mind our abundance and gratitude mindset. It's essential that we prioritize our well being throughout this process of putting oneself out there. I thought a useful topic for us to consider, particularly because oftentimes we're paralyzed and prone towards not necessarily taking the additional steps that we should be doing in putting ourselves out there. I thank you for joining us on the Gus Alpha Perspective, a videocast that is earmarked to embrace gratitude and abundance. Thank you.